Well, good afternoon, Center Hope. Now, I'm thinking that some of you are probably watching this video right now because of the title that was on it. You know, the Is Your Own Truth a Lie? Kind of an interesting title, but that's what I wanted to talk about today because that's something that I've been hearing for quite a little while now. I just have to live by my own truth. I just have to be true to me and everything's going to be okay. What does that mean? Like, I just have to live by my own truth. Well, let's examine that, okay? Let's take that apart a little bit and figure out what it is that means, what people are talking about. I have to live by my own truth, which is basically whatever I think is right. As long as I do that, everything's going to be good. As long as I don't try to do evil to other people, as long as I think whatever I'm doing is good, then everything is going to be okay. That is what, as long as I live by my own truth, sounds like. Now, the problem is, what happens if you don't have a moral compass? What happens if you don't have a standard to go by and you're just judging everything on your own, thinking, well, that's okay for me, so it must be okay for everybody else. It doesn't matter if I hurt somebody as long as it's okay for me. Now, I know some of you are probably shaking your heads going, yeah, dude, that just doesn't happen. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, when I was working at Youth for Christ in London here, I was part of Campus Life. Now, Campus Life worked with high school age students, and we were in the high schools right where the kids were living, like where they're doing their daily lives on their own turf, so you could get to know them a little better, build relationships, that type of thing. And the school that I was assigned to was Laurier Secondary School. Yeah, I was a ram, at least at work anyway. So I got to go there every day. And now, primarily, I hung out in the drama department, which is pretty cool and really hard to believe, I know. But I got to know a few kids there really, really well over the course of the, I think, 3 to 4 years that I was working there. Now, I got this group of guys that during their spare every day, we would go down to the cafeteria and play euchre. Why not? They didn't have anything to do, kept them out of trouble. I liked euchre. It was a win for everybody. So we sat there and we played euchre. Now, the one day, we're sitting there, we're playing. We've been going for maybe 10, 20 minutes. And the one kid, every time he dealt, every time he played a card, we'd be like, just constantly looking at his watch, looking up at the clock, constantly trying to keep track of time. So obviously something's going on, and I'm sure you guys are all thinking the same thing I was. Dude, what's the problem? You got to be somewhere? And he said, yeah, I do. I got to be down to the arena by about 2:30. I said, okay, what arena and why? So he told me the name of the arena he was heading to. And he said, well, I got to be there by 2:30 because at 2:30, the 20-year-olds are out on the ice having their practice. And I said, so what? You go to watch them practice? He said, no. When they're out there, they leave all their sticks in the dressing room. I said, and? He said, well, I'm going to go take one of their Synergy hockey sticks. Now, I'm just going to hit pause right there. For anybody who was like me at the time, I'd never heard of a Synergy hockey stick. It was a composite stick. And at that time was $300. So it was not a cheap hockey stick. It's still not a cheap hockey stick. Let's keep going. So he says, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take one of their Synergy hockey sticks. And I said, you want to run that by me again? You're going to go take one of their hockey sticks? And he looks at me like I've got two heads and goes, yeah? I said, no, why would you do that? And he says, well, somebody stole one of mine, so I'm just going to go take one of theirs. See, he thought that made sense. He was living his own truth. Because it happened to him, it was okay for him to do it to somebody else. And there was no problem with that. If you don't have a moral compass, if you don't have a standard to say what is right and what is wrong, then this is okay. And I would love to tell you that he's the only person like that in this world. No. I think we probably have all seen that at one point or another. how some people think as long as what I'm doing is okay with me, then everything's going to be fine. Well, guys, that's not true. There's this speaker, and I say was because unfortunately he died a couple of years ago. His name was R.C. Sproul. And R.C. Sproul was this really wonderful speaker, super intelligent guy, a theologian, really remarkable to listen to. He was really academic, but could speak in such a way that people like me could understand, which was fantastic because I learned a lot from this guy. Now, his wisdom was really cool too. Now, he just finished doing one of these conferences, one of these talks at his church in Florida, and whenever he does that, he leaves the podium open down on the floor for people to come up and ask questions. So this guy walks up to the podium, looks up to him and says, "Mr. Sproul, first off, thank you so much for letting us come here today and listen to you. I really enjoy hearing what you have to say, but I got a question for you. I have a problem. See, I have two brothers, and neither one of them think that there's such a thing as right or wrong." I'm not kidding you guys. This is what the guy said. None of them, they neither think there's anything like right or wrong. They just believe whatever is good for them is good altogether. As long as they don't hurt themselves or anybody else, everything's good. There is no such thing as right or wrong. How can I teach them or show them that there actually is something called right or wrong? Without missing a beat, Sproul just looked down at him and says, "Steal one of their wallets." Well, that would do it, wouldn't it? I mean, it was right for me. I felt it was good. I needed money. You had money. I just took it. So I lived by my own truth and everything was fine. Not a good plan. Absolutely not a good plan. Now, we might think that this is a new way of thinking, and I use the term new loosely, because like I said, I heard it the first time for myself 15 years ago. But let me read you something, and I have to put my old man glasses on for this, or what I call my OMGs. This is out of the book of Judges. This is near the first part of the Bible. Judges 21, verse 25. "In those days there was no king in Israel, and everyone did what was right in their own eyes." Now the book ends with that scripture. And I'll tell you why it ends in that scripture, because it talks about it early on in Judges as well. It says it at chapter 17, and it talks about similar things all the way through the book of Judges. And the book of Judges follows Israel, the group of people called Israel, after they left Egypt, after they made their trek towards the promised land, after Moses was with them, after Joshua had died, and they got all the way to where the promised land is supposed to be, and now they have nobody looking after them, so they start doing whatever the heck they want. God sees this and brings people in called judges, hence the name of the book. Now, these judges would look after them, listen to what God had to say, and look after the people of Israel. And as long as the people were listening to this judge, which as long as the judge was alive they were, the place prospered and everything was good. But the moment that judge died and there was no judge to take their place, they started doing what was right in their own eyes. They started living their own truth, and things went badly from that point on until there was another judge. Now, this happened 6 times in that book. It happened 6 times. I said to a guy yesterday, how many times do you have to bang your head on a wall before you realize it hurts and stop? These guys couldn't grasp the fact that if they stopped listening to what God had to say and started following their own rules, things didn't go well. They have to listen to God. They eventually got a hold of that for at least a little while anyway. So I want to ask you this. Are you living by your own truth? Or are you living by a standard that is out there? God has a standard for us. It's in His Word. It is in His Bible. What is the standard that you're living by? And should you be living by a different one? Just wanted to make your head scratch a little bit on that one today, because the world would be a much better place if everyone stopped living by their own truth, because just like I said in the title, your own truth is probably a lie. any questions about what I had to say today, feel free to leave a comment down below. I always really welcome those comments. I look forward to seeing them. If you like these videos, please let us know by giving them a like. We've not asked you to do that before, but if you could just give us a like, it would help us understand how many people are watching it, if you guys are liking it. If you've made it all the way to the 10-minute and 6-second mark, that would be fantastic. So let us know, give it a like, maybe even subscribe if you want to, and leave a comment. So thank you very much. Hope to see you guys around.